Hi everyone, welcome back. Have you noticed that the S7 300-400 Plcsim is different from that of 1200-1500? In this video, I will share with you how to simulate S7 1200-1500 PLC using its Plcsim. I will also share with you how to simulate sequential process automatically using the inbuilt sequence function. Let's get started. Kindly subscribe if you've not done that already, and also press on the notification bell. This way you'll always be notified whenever I upload new videos. Okay, to start with, we create a new project. I click on the create new project, give it a name Plcsim _ test, and then click on create. Okay, I select the right PLC program, select to add new hardware, and now select the 1200 CPU. I need this very one, 1215, and then select this one as well. Be sure it's version 4, other than that simulation is not going to work. Okay, I now click on the project view, and now open this section and then move into the device configuration. Okay, click on this and then we can now look at its properties. Great, we have some IOs already added. I'll scroll down and then we have the input IOs. I move down again, I have the output IOs too as well. Scroll back up and then all is set. I can now click on compile to check for errors. Okay, compilation is successful, and now move into the program blocks. Open the okay, so we will use this as our demonstration of the sim. We have an industrial press. Sensor B detects when there is material on the press, and then when the start push button is pressed, the piston moves down and puts pressure on the material to bond the two materials together. Now sensor A detects when the piston is fully extended. A timer is started and then the pressure is maintained for 5 seconds, after which the pressure is released and then the piston moves back to its original position. Okay, now let's put this in code. I add a normally open contact, 2 of them, and then add a coil. I address this as I0.0, address the next one as I0.1, and then the output as scale 0.0. Change the tag name to press drive. Click on change, and then change this one. This is going to be our sensor B. That is our material sensor. Click on change, and then this is going to be our start button. So I change the description to start. Click on change as well. So I now need to add a hold on. So I click on this section and then add an normally open contact, and then give it the address as the press. Okay, great. And now scroll down to network 2, and here we'll add our timer. I add a normally open contact, give it address I0.2, and then add another contact, and this is going to be the drive on. So this command is coming from the press, and then now open the timer operating folder and then add a an on delay timer. Great, and now specify the preset time of 5 seconds. Okay, let me add an output and then write this time done into a memory 0.0. Okay, you can choose not to add this and then use the timer address directly. It will also work fine. So give it a name, timer 1. And now need to assign this timer at this section of the program to turn the press off when the time elapses. So here is going to be our timer 1. Okay, now let me change this address to sensor A, and this is going to be our fully extended piston sensor. Great, and now compile for errors, and we can see it has compiled successfully without any error. Okay, and now turn on the simulator. You'll be asked this question, and then you need to select OK for it to automatically activate the simulator if this is the first time using the simulator. Okay, I click on OK, and then we have the simulator interface here. Great, I minimize it and now need to download the program into it, and this is the IP of our PLC. And now select this section and then click on the start search to look for the PLC, in this case our simulator. Okay, we can see it has been able to find it. I click on load to load our program. Okay, I click on load again. Okay, now it's asking whether I want to start the model. I say yes. I change this one to, you can change it to start, but for now I'll leave it to no action because I want to start it from the simulator. Okay, I click on run to start the PLC, and we can see the PLC is in run mode. And now click on this section to open the interface of the Plcsim. I click on new to create a new project in the Plcsim, and then give it a name, sim_test, and then click create. Okay, great, our project is added. I now have the sim table. There is a default sim table. You can add new one if you want, but double click and use the default table. I now need to add the tags. You can manually select which one you want to add from the list. However, if you want to add all the tags, you can equally do that using this load project tags tab. We have the import, we have the export, and then we have the other tags knobs as well. I click on the add project tags, and then we can see we have all the tags in place. I now switch to the hardware to see whether the assignment that we give to the IOs are all showing on the hardware. Okay, we can see our start, we can see our sensor, we can see our tag. Great. Output, we can see the press drive also there. I switch back to the project and now move to online. Great, we are online. I put on the goggles and now a lineup. We have our simulation table here. We have our sensor B that will indicate that we have material on the bench. So I scroll to this section and then activate that. I scroll back again and we can see it's activated in our program. And then our next is our start button. So I select that and we can see there's a nice knob here that we can use to start. And whenever you select an item, it shows there. I click on it to start the process. And we can see it started. It's waiting for the system to fully extend the arm. So I go to this section and then activate the sensor that detects that the arm is fully extended, and we can see our timer started counting, putting pressure for 5 seconds, and then 5 seconds elapses, and then the press is turned off. And now come deactivate the sensor A, indicating that the press has moved to its initial position, and then deactivate, indicating that material has been taken off the workbench. Great. What if you want to also simulate without manual interventions? That is when the sequences comes in. To do this, I move to this section. We can create a new one. We have the default one created. I double click on it to open. And then we have the interface. We have the condition to start. We have a timer here that indicates the intervals between your sequence. I will change that one to 8 seconds. In my case, it will work fine for my simulation. And now I need to emphasize or state the trigger condition. So I select trigger condition and then need to specify the inputs responsible for the trigger condition, which is our start button. So I select the start button, and the event is supposed to be true, so I set it at true. The next is that from the press we need to put material, but that one will activate it manually. So then the press arm needs to be detected that it has fully extended, and to do that, sensor A needs to be activated, so I send it to true. And then after 5 seconds, the sensor A needs to be deactivated, so I send it to false. And then after the arm has moved to its original position, sensor B needs to be deactivated, indicating that the material has been taken from the workbench. So I will set that one to false. And now our sequence has come to an end. And if I want to repeat the sequence, I need to set the section to repeat sequence. You can switch it to stop sequence using this knob or tab. Great, I will leave it at a repeat sequence. We have our stop sequence here, start sequence here too as well. And I'll pop it out from this window and then position them correctly. Okay, so I have all of them set up. I have my simulation tag here. I have the sequence also here, and then the simulator here too as well. Now I select this start and then activate the sensor B. We can see it here. And now move to this setting and then start the sequence, and we can see the sequence has started. And now let's switch this section, that is the condition to start, and I need to activate the start button. So I click on start to activate it, and then we can see the sequence has started. The timer is done, and then our sequence moves to the sequence that is B. Wait for 8 seconds and then deactivate the sensor B. Great. Now we can see that the rest were done automatically. Now I move back to our simulator and then activate that a new material has been placed, and then press the start push button again for the sequence to start automatically again. Great, we can see the timing is done. Our sequence is on the next one. That one is also done. It moves to the final sequence, deactivating sensor B, indicating that material has been taken out, and that one also goes off. Great. We can see that with the inbuilt sequence simulator, you can do great sequencing without manual interventions. Thank you for watching. See you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.